I just came up with another great idea for Grand Theft Auto. What about a 1945 themed Grand Theft Auto? Kind of like Gary's Mod has a version of it. Let me see if I can pull it up. Gary's Mod, Nazi Germany. You're in like a Nazi Germany. You can play the SS, or you can play to be any many other roles. So imagine like Grand Theft Auto, you can be the SSR, or you can be like not the SSR, I mean the Nazis. You can be high-ranking officers. You can be lower-ranking officers. You're a whole formation, right, of the government. But Grand Theft Auto graphics, Grand Theft Auto, all that. 1945 style vehicles, 1945 style airplanes and things like German aircraft and all that kind of stuff, like we would expect in one of those German warfare games, kind of like a Battlefield One, was it? But all different styles, like more like city based too. Just even during during the time where they were the government in power, and then you could do variations of gameplay when D-Day hits and when it changes and all that. And you could have variations of et cetera, et cetera. And you have that, and you have yeah, you can mass slaughter ones if you want to mass slaughter them or not, and or take them into the concentration camps. And they can and that or you can play as the opposite and fight back and hide from the Nazis in Grand Theft Auto and see how far you can make it in the city as a Jew or whatever term they can come up with. And maybe you could even start out as a Jew hiding from the Nazis and work your way up in Grand Theft Auto, the final solution, and become a Nazi. Or you can infiltrate the Nazis and kill them off. Maybe the city, it's one city like in Germany or whatever, and depending on it's a different groups can reign in power and be Hitler and be the Nazis and whatever. Or maybe you don't have to be Hitler. You can change the name of the leader and all that. Maybe you can have black Nazis or whatever, and et cetera, et cetera. Like say you and your friends get on. You're a black group of friends, and you hop on the server on Grand Theft Auto: The Final Solution, and it's Hitler in power, and all the white guys are on, and they're in power, and you're the Jews, and you guys are getting abused and killed, and people are getting your and all that, and you got to go off and assassinate Hitler or whatever it is, whoever that real group of whatever's are on, and you could, in whatever you take over, next thing you know, you took over and you became the black Nazis that are running the server at the time or whatever, and then you got to reign for as long as you can as a Nazi. And there's the right and all that. And you can infiltrate the right if you want to. The right. Things of that nature. Tanks and chancellery. You can go to the chancellery. There's all different areas, government buildings. And you could just go, and there's many different uses, like normal uses. You don't have to go in there and criminalize it. You can just be a normal citizen of the society that is in the game. The final solution. And there's a couple games that you can look at that have already done it, but they're just not good enough. Like that you could model this after, and have Rockstar Games make the final solution. People play the final solution whether they're no matter what race they are. It was a part of history, human history, and it would be a really fun game to play as well. Military sort of style, government style. That's what everybody wants to do. Play as a police officer. And stuff like that on GTA, Grand Theft Auto. We want to be able to play as we've and they're saying, well, there's the modify. Well, that's what everybody wanted in the final game. So if you're going to develop something, that's the kind of stuff we want to see. Is you can play as a police, you can do the jail thing. They have that on the PC. So they've already done that. So I don't know. Maybe they already have this version too on the one of those private Grand Theft Auto servers. Maybe they say, well, yeah, it's not the proper. I mean, it kind of, they don't like to market thing at a mass. They don't like to market something like that at a mass level that dealt with sort of a piece of history that is a dark piece of history, and that could possibly promote racism or whatever, or atrocity. And I agree with that. So maybe that won't happen, even though that game could be great, and maybe it will if there's kindness and understanding. Or maybe it will just be like one of those underground ones as it's always been, and that won't be the main game. And there is already ones like that you can play. Maybe it won't be promoted but maybe everyone comes together and they figure out what will be the next GTA. People have said Miami, Toronto, Chicago. There's that new Chicago FPS or Chicago game. They already just came out with that. It's called We Are Chicago. And I think there's another one too, but I think this is the one. We Are Chicago. There's Chicago 1930. And that's what it is. This is what it's been like for a while now, guys. Chicago versus Toronto. It's been like that for like, when did this start? Since before the Raptors. Before the Raptors won the championship. It's been Chicago versus Toronto all together. The rap thing in the streets, sports, everything. Because guess what? We have a lot of relations, but at the same time, we're also competition with each other. Big time competition with each other. Big time, scary. Where it's getting like that. But there's a lot of great healthy competition as well. And when they came up to try to do some of the bad stuff, it didn't work out for them, and a lot of them ended up in prison. Those bad ones that came from Chicago to kill some of the Toronto people on the street side, and et cetera, et cetera. But did you know that Toronto and Chicago both have names that are based off of Native American dialect or some sort of languaging? I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact thing off the top of my head on how the exact terminology used to explain where the roots of the names, where the names came from or whatever. They came from similar roots. They're very much like each other.
Chicago.
Toronto.